Welcome to Teachnology. This week's theme is a reading theme. There's lots of lesson plans, worksheets, and resources. If you become a member, there's a reading comprehension workbook that's called Places. It describes 25 different parts of the world. It's fantastic. The other thing we have this week is a proofreading worksheet maker. It's the example for this month is based on the fall, and you can take a reading passage and make it into a proofreading worksheet. Become a member. It'll make your teaching so much easier, and it'll be awesome. This week's tips are ways to encourage reading. Now, let's talk about the research. The research suggests that the ability that the children have to read and their feelings toward reading relate. Also, forcing a child to read has really no positive results. Here are some tips that you can share with your students' parents. Tip number 1 is to be a role model. You can get a magazine subscription for yourself and your kids. Tip number 2, give a book allowance, trips to the bookstore or the library. Tip number 3, present reading as an activity with a purpose. Not that it's a job that you have to do, but it's something fun. Tip number 4, read aloud as a family. Tip number 5, do something unusual like create a family newsletter or a blog, which some kids love to use on a computer, or even a website. Okay, now here are some examples of what you as a teacher can do to encourage reading. Tip number 1 would be to get a pen pal or use a site to help you out with that. Tip number 2, create a reading scavenger hunt. Tip number 3, the students can read a book and share it with class. They always love to share. Tip number 4, create a class newspaper. Things that they might have done during the week or even the month that they want to talk about and write. Tip number 5, create a website. Again, that's big right now, and the kids love to use the computer. Even though you think it's a computer, it involves a lot of reading. And tip number 6, which is one of my favorites, is to organize a book exchange. What do you do with all those old books? Well, they can bring them in, and as many books as they bring in, they can get a credit. For every credit, then for the next week, they can get a different book from a student that brought theirs in also. So, thank you for coming to Teachnology, and we'll see you back here next week.